In this podcast episode, Ben Shapiro delves into several major topics making headlines, including the arrest of Prince Andrew amid revelations linked to Jeffrey Epstein's files, the surge of alleged fake victims across political and media landscapes, controversies surrounding immigration enforcement, and significant geopolitical developments related to Iran and U.S. foreign policy. The discussion also covers recent dynamics within the White House and media reactions to ongoing political events. Ben Shapiro opens with the news that Prince Andrew, formerly Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, has been arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office, linked to disclosures from the immense trove of Jeffrey Epstein-related documents. The charge of misconduct in public office, a British legal concept, involves an allegation that a public official knowingly did something seriously wrong in the course of official duties without reasonable excuse. Shapiro emphasizes the vast scale of the Epstein files, over 35 million pages, and the challenges this presents for thorough, methodical analysis. Despite widespread speculation, Shapiro stresses the importance of evidence over rumor, cautioning against equating mere allegations with guilt. The discussion highlights that Prince Andrew's arrest is likely connected less to direct sexual abuse charges and more to allegations that he shared confidential UK trade information with Epstein during his tenure as Britain's special representative for international trade. Emails uncovered in the released documents suggest Andrew passed sensitive trade reports and official itineraries to Epstein, potentially breaching public trust. This is compared to the case of Peter Mandelson, a former British ambassador accused of passing insider information to Epstein. Shapiro notes that while Prince Andrew settled a civil suit with Virginia Giuffre, a prominent Epstein accuser, he was never criminally charged for those specific allegations due to lack of prosecutable evidence. Shapiro underscores the essential role of evidentiary standards in prosecuting public figures and criticizes the tendency for public discourse to substitute accusations for proof. The segment also touches on billionaire Lex Wexner's recent congressional testimony, where Wexner denied knowledge of Epstein's crimes despite his close financial ties, illustrating the complexity and opacity of Epstein's network. Ben Shapiro pivots to criticize what he terms fake victimhood rampant in political and cultural discourse. Using examples like Texas Democrat Senate candidate James Tallarico and conservative media figure Tucker Carlson, Shapiro argues that exaggerated or misleading victim narratives are frequently employed for political gain. He describes how Tallarico's claims of being canceled by CBS were a misunderstanding related to the FCC's equal time rules, which resulted in his interview shifting to YouTube and unexpectedly boosting his fundraising rather than suppressing him. Meanwhile, Carlson's alleged kidnapping and interrogation in Israel is debunked as a false narrative designed to manufacture victim status where none existed. Shapiro ridicules Carlson's description of routine Israeli airport security procedures as a detention, highlighting Carlson's long-standing hostility toward Israel. This broader phenomenon, according to Shapiro, distorts public perception, fuels partisan animosity, and undermines constructive dialogue. He also references Democratic figures who use victim claims strategically, including Maryland Governor Wes Moore, who accused former President Trump of racism over federal responses to a sewage spill, a charge Shapiro views as unfounded and exaggerated. Additionally, Shapiro critiques progressives who claim conservatives are jealous of transgender people, arguing that ideological framing ignores underlying health and psychological realities. The episode then examines chaos and criticism surrounding immigration enforcement, spotlighting New York City Mayor Eric Adams's appointment of Faiza Ali, a former Abolish ICE activist, as commissioner of the city's Office of Immigrant Affairs. Shapiro views this appointment as emblematic of Democratic political contradictions and mismanagement. He notes ongoing tensions in Minneapolis, where ICE operations were scaled back amid political and public pressures. White House correspondent Mary Margaret Olahan joins to report that the administration is trying to bring calm to immigration enforcement policy debates, balancing local cooperation and federal priorities amidst media scrutiny and internal personnel changes at the Department of Homeland Security. A significant portion of the episode is devoted to the escalating situation in the Middle East, with Iran preparing militarily as nuclear negotiations with the U.S. remain stalled. Shapiro outlines intelligence suggesting Iran is dispersing command structures, fortifying facilities, and cracking down domestically to brace for potential conflict. He notes the presence of Iranian paramilitary naval units in the strategic Strait of Hormuz and the arrival of Russian warships supporting military exercises, underscoring the tense regional environment. U.S. military readiness is high, with personnel movements and potential airstrike capabilities poised for action, though no final decisions are reported. Shapiro discusses the broader geopolitical ramifications, emphasizing that U.S. reluctance to decisively counter Iran's nuclear ambitions risks emboldening adversaries like China and Russia. He draws a parallel between the Biden administration's perceived weakness and historical outcomes, such as Russia's invasion of Ukraine following the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. The possibility of China aggressively pursuing Taiwan if the U.S. signals unwillingness to enforce red lines is also raised, framing these international challenges as interconnected in a zero-sum global power struggle. Mary Margaret Olohan provides insights from inside the White House, describing an administration cautious about revealing details on sensitive national security issues like the Iran situation. She recounts the contrast between President Trump's Black History Month event, marked by enthusiastic praise from attendees, and the simultaneous press room atmosphere where questions about accusations of racism were met with incredulity and laughter. Shapiro and Olohan explore the media's handling of these narratives and ongoing personnel shifts within the Trump administration's immigration and communications teams. The conversation touches briefly on congressional controversies, including Representative Ro Khanna's false accusations based on redacted Epstein file names, which were later corrected to clear the individuals implicated. Additionally, Shapiro surfaces Republicans strategizing ahead of midterms, hinting at behind-the-scenes meetings and efforts to frame their political approach, though details remain sparse. Shapiro ends the episode with a critique of cultural trends, including a recently released YouTube protest song addressing immigration enforcement, which he disparages for quality and messaging. He also highlights the cancellation of a journalism lecture by Bari Weiss at UCLA following student protests, interpreting it as an example of the heckler's veto and a shrinking space for dissenting ideas. The overall tone is one of skepticism toward claims of victimhood, media sensationalism, and political opportunism.